Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Khurram Khan representing Stryvve Pakistan. I'm your host for today's webinar on strategic planning and goal setting with Mr. Mustafa Imam. Before moving forward with our discussion on the subject, I'd like to give a little bit of intro about Stryvve Pakistan. Stryvve Pakistan is primarily a skill development facilitator that believes in interacting, motivating, and encouraging to learn, excel, and succeed. Stryvve Pakistan consults, develops, and trains. We offer trainings and workshops as on-site and online sessions. And we are about to come up with a great program called Strategic Planning and Goal Setting with, of course, Mr. Mustafa Imam. But I must appreciate that before moving forward with that, Mr. Imam has been so kind to disseminate the program details through this webinar today. Now I'd like to introduce my guest speaker for today, the honorable guest, Mr. Mustafa Imam. He is the sponsor and principal shareholder of FinTrade Private Limited. With more than 25 years of experience, Mr. Mustafa Imam has worked in the local as well as international markets. He has the experience that belongs to not only financial sector, but also he has contributed a great deal to the service sector. He has held key positions in a number of multinationals. His last assignment was with a local bank as the head of service quality and process reengineering, prior to which he was officiating as the country manager of a Norwegian company, overseeing the operations in Pakistan as well as MENA region. His earlier assignments include managing projects for HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank. His core competencies include business and leadership management, service and quality excellence, goal settings, and strategic management, strategic human resource management, customer care and customer retention, quality management systems, business process reengineering, HSE management systems. Mr. Mustafa Imam completed his master's degree in business administration from Southeastern University, Washington, D.C. in 1996. He also holds certifications as lead auditor from UK and has conducted more than 3,000 external audits in a range of industries, which is certainly a huge number. Mr. Mustafa Imam has been a scale coach and an experienced high quality trainer. I welcome him on this program. Sir, Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa alaikum salam, Khurram, and thank you for an overwhelming introduction. Just like you said, since we're going to be talking about strategic planning and goal setting, it is imperative for people who are going to be attending this program to understand the overall ambit of what this is. And before we get into the depth of strategic planning and goal setting, I'd like to ask you a small question.
Sure.
And the question is very pertinent to this discussion. But before we start, I'd like to know if you have been ever interested or if you have ever played football.
So I did in my childhood age, and I was very much interested. I still admire the players like Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. I like them both, and at times I watch football matches only for these two players. And when it comes to the World Cup, we just keep watching all of the matches and stuff. So this is the level of my interest.
Okay, very good, very good. अच्छा, मुझे ये बताएं कि before we talk about this in detail, what are the different things involved in football, in a football game?
11 players, 2 teams,
Okay.
11 players in each of the teams, and 2 goal posts, one football.
And coach and referees and so on.
And yes, and multiple, yes, more than, I think more than one referee, and the coaches who stand outside
Fair
of
enough.
the ground.
I like your knowledge about football. मुझे ये मुझे ये बताएं कि if we start a football match and there is only one thing that I take out of the football entire setup, the football field, the teams, the players, the ball, the goalpost, and so on and so forth. What is that one thing that is going to entirely change the dynamics of the game?
I think the goalpost. If you remove the goalpost, the dynamics of the game will be changed altogether.
You have been spot on this. The goalpost is that one thing
Yeah.
that if you remove from a football match,
Okay.
you can still play the game. The two teams are going to be still fighting each other, but what is going to be the end result?
They'll just keep fighting.
There is going to be a lot of fight. There is going to be a lot of energy wastage. There is going to be a lot of sweat that they're going to do everything except making any goals or winning the game.
Exactly. Absolutely. Sir.
Now, if we understand this philosophy
Mhm.
and then talk about strategic planning and goal setting in an organization, strategic planning plays a very, very similar role of that of a goalpost. And fortunately or unfortunately, in our part of the world, the understanding of strategic planning and goal setting is relatively very minimal. I don't know what the reason for that is. I don't know why people do not pay enough attention to this subject, whereas it is just like playing football without goalposts.
Right.
So our topic today is specifically setting and aligning of organizations
Mhm.
to give them a clear-cut direction, and not only to give them that direction, but also to help the overall organization move in that direction.
Right.
And this is what strategic planning and goal setting is. It provides a platform for an organization to move from wherever it is at the moment
Mhm.
to a certain level where it would like to see itself in future.
Right.
And strategic planning is what is going to provide a platform for this movement.
Right. So moving forward with this, for for our learning, of course, and for all of those who are watching us, and for the entire corporate sector, the first question that I would like to ask is, what is strategic planning and goal setting at large, and how does it link every department and even every function of an organization?
Khurram, I'd like to answer this question sort of in different phases. I'll answer this question in different phases. Reason being, we need to first understand what is strategic planning. And just like I said very recently, that strategic planning provides a platform for an organization to move forward. And how this is going to happen is what I'm going to be sharing with you a little later during this program. But people need to understand that the platform is going to be provided through a strategic planning process. Once we start from the top, we talk about an articulated plan,
Right.
which is going to be the most basic thing required for a strategic planning process. This is usually followed by strategic differentiation. And step number three, after strategic differentiation, we talk about organizational engagement. Organizational engagement leads to then the overall organizational transformation. So if you're asking me, it is a four-step process starting from uh, an articulated plan, followed by a strategic differentiation, yet followed by organizational engagement, and at last, organizational transformation. Now, we will talk about these things in a little more detail as we go along in this program, and I will share with you what each of these mean in a little more detail. But this is how a strategic planning process is going to be implemented in any organization.
Right, sir. And how does your program cover the objectives of strategic planning and goal setting in its entirety?
See, the program I am running currently, its main objective is to create strategic leaders and strategic implementers. So my program, while it does talk about the theoretical concepts for people to understand, but its focus and its main sort of concentration is on the development of strategic leaders and strategic implementers. So while somebody goes out of my program, completes my program, he or she will be able to go back to their organizations and either become a strategic leader or become strategic implementers. So my focus people attend this program and they complete this program, they should be able to go back to their respective organizations and implement what they have learned. So that's the focus of this program, and that's how I'd like to differentiate this program from the others.
Right. And so, what value do you believe this program would add to an organization? This is a question that most of the people even don't understand. I mean, we often came across situations that people, and even people at higher positions in the management of an organization, don't really get to know what value they can derive from such a program. So I would ask you to let us know that what what value can this program actually add to an organization.
Let's say you have a brilliant set of people working in an organization. You have a brilliant set of resources, you're financially stable, you have all the other resources that are required, including the human capital resources and so on and so forth. But the only one thing that you're missing is the goalpost. So that's the value this program is going to add to any organization. We're going to give them the goalposts that they require so that the entire team can now channelize their efforts into one direction, and that is going to be achieving the goal of the organization.
Right. Very well said, sir. And does your program carry some USP, some unique selling proposition that we do not find with conventional strategic planning and goal setting programs?
Like I said, when you were asking me about the value of the program, that is the USP that I use uh, to differentiate this. That my focus is on preparing the strategic leaders and the strategic implementers.
Right.
So once you've attended this program, you are then going to be energetic enough to go back to your organization and implement it. And that's my focus.
Right, sir. And why it is vital for an organization to focus on strategic planning and goal setting than any other issue? Is this the right time, considering the situation that we just came out from, the COVID-19 scenario and stuff? So, how do
I
you
think
see
the
this?
time could be I think the time could not be better,
Right,
because in the past, we could afford to make mistakes. We could afford to use energies in directions that were not required. But with now the pandemic being here, organizations have been hit very badly. And especially in this part of the world, we cannot afford to sort of use the resources and the energies in the wrong direction. So direction setting has become impediment of any organization now. And I think this is the best time for organizations to realize and understand that this is the way forward.
Right. And so how can this program be a cultural fit, especially because, I mean, knowing the types of the organizations that we have in place in Pakistan and all across, there are some SMEs as well. There are different types of organizations available. So how can this program be a cultural fit, especially for SMEs during the pandemic and post-pandemic situation?
Okay, let me try and answer this question in a slightly different way. In the developed countries or in the developed world, whenever there is recession, whenever there are problems, what is the last department to go out of the organization?
You mean, I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
Acha, okay, let me ask you another question.
Okay.
In our part of the world, whenever there is problem, there is recession, there is pandemic, there are other issues, which one of the first department goes out of the organization?
So I think HR in our part of the world.
I mean,
HR.
HR and training.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly. This happens.
In the developed countries or the developed world, training is the last function to go out of the organization, because they say this is the time we have to strengthen our organization, to strengthen our people, so that once the recession is over, we are up and ready to face the challenges of the new environment.
Right.
So they prepare themselves for the challenges that they're going to face with the new environment. And unfortunately, in this part of the world, we are more short-term oriented. We're looking at short-term benefits more than long-term benefits. And organizations which are focusing, whether they are multinationals or they are local organizations, which are focusing on long-term achievements, are the ones which are successful in the end.
Right.
So this is going to sort of not only give you benefits and positivity in the organization at present, it is going to ensure the sustainability of that success throughout in the future. And this is what is important.
Right. Right. Very well answered, sir. We at Stryvve firmly believe that you're, mashallah, a maestro of strategic planning and goal setting. But just to let everyone know, how can we consider this program a better option by far than those available on the internet, which is, of course, low cost and easily accessible?
See, like I already mentioned twice in this discussion only, that my focus is not only on the theoretical part of the subject. It is to cultivate that leader, it is to cultivate that implementer who is going to attend the program, so that once they are out back into their organization, they are competent people to be able to execute and carry out the strategic planning process. From a leadership point of view, it's going to cultivate those strategic leaders. So somebody who's already running an organization, who's already at the top of the organization, it will bring about a mindset change in those leaders to be able to think and plan strategically, to be able to think and plan in the long term, to be able to think and plan for the betterment of the organization and target the organization to a higher level or a scaled level of performance, of achievements, and so on and so forth. So this program will help or will produce the personnel or the delegates with the competence of driving that change in the organization.
Right, sir.
And that's how the program is different from the ones which are available off the shelf kind of things.
So sometimes there may be a resource, time, or budget limitation. How can a decision maker opt for such a program in such situations?
Khurram, I believe that the initial wisdom or the initial vision that is required for organizations nowadays is already there. People are realizing that in order to be competitive, and not only competitive, in order to survive, they need to do something different from what they have been doing. And this is the solution for the way forward.
Right,
So organizations which are not going to engage in these types of developments and processes are going to be left behind over time. But visionary leaders, people who understand, people who are at least trying to understand the benefits that they are going to drive from programs like these are going to be the winners in the future.
right. So way forward, if somebody really looks forward to be uh, bigger, better, and improve with the passage of time, with that kind of vision, people can and will surely understand the importance of this program. Uh,
Absolutely.
so countless, I may not say countless, but there are so many HR managers who are out there um, producing and conducting their own workshops and trainings, in-house workshops and trainings, in fact. How can they make the most out of this program?
Well, I've already trained a bunch of them that are there out in the market, but yes, they can take this forward at least from a not a strategic planning process, but there is another concept called SHRM, which is strategic human resource planning. So this is directly related to people in the HR industry, and if they would like to connect themselves and become much bigger as an HR individual, as an HR professional, this would be a very good way up for them.
Right. Sir, thank you so much for sharing in-depth knowledge about the program, and we very much look forward to introduce from Stryvve's platform as well, to introduce the strategic planning and goal setting program from Stryvve's platform as well. And we are hopeful that people will understand, of course, those who look forward to grow and get even better than what they are today, will definitely understand the importance of this program and will opt for it. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Fatah. It's been really a pleasure to have you today for this webinar, and I thank you once again for your time.
Thank you very much, Khurram, for letting me be here. Um, I look forward to materializing this in the near future.
Inshallah, sir. We do.
All
We
right.
do so.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you all. We really appreciate your presence and participation in today's webinar. Though it was not something that we needed participation from others, except our guest speaker, Mr. Mustafa Imam. Please don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube by just adding /Stryvve right after the web address of each of these social media channels. While you may reach us anytime through our email address, which is info@stryvve.com, info@stryvve.com. Take good care of yourselves, your family members, especially your elders and your kids, and we very much look forward to see you soon again. So, Jazakumullah khair, thanks once again, and Allah Hafiz.